Hi guys, this is Lalana. Thanks for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today we're going to talk about balancing the energies. I've had a lot of questions about this, and there seems to be a little bit of confusion when we're talking about what it means to come into balance, what it means to balance the energies on this path, and all of these sort of things. So balancing the energy, I think most people are sort of assuming or thinking that balancing the energy means that we're balancing the energy between ourself and the twin, right? Balancing the energy between the self, the physical self, and the physical aspect of the twin. This is actually not what it is. You're not balancing anything between you and the physical twin. You and the twin are one energetic system, one consciousness. And so there is no between you, even though it looks like that, I've said that you are separate from your twin, you're actually one energy. So that one energy is what is coming back into balance, right? This is what we're talking about when we're saying balancing the energies. And this is how the feminine polarity, not gender specific, leads this path energetically. And this is why that I say things like it's the feminine that needs to balance out the energies, focus on the self, do the inner work, come back home to self, all of these things that we're saying, because the feminine energy is leading this entire dynamic. And this is one energy. So we don't need both of the feminine and the masculine, physical masculine, doing the work. And this is something that gets confused a lot. And I've had a lot of questions from you guys in the comments as well that are saying things like, well, doesn't the masculine need to do their work as well? And doesn't the masculine need to heal and all of these sort of things? And the thing is that the masculine has their own ego, just like the feminine has ego, right? These are fear-based energies. These play out in the way that they play out in regard to both of these incarnations and having different experiences in the incarnation that we are experiencing here in the 3D. And that's at the microcosm level. Right? But at the macrocosm level, at the all that is level, at the God source creation level, right? All of it, we are one consciousness, we are one energy. And so, as I've said in a lot of my videos, the energy follows itself. And so this is why we hear things that say, as long as the feminine does the inner work, as long as the feminine comes back into inner union, as long as the feminine comes back into balance, etc., 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 the masculine will reflect that. The masculine will mirror that. It's because they are one energetic system, right? They are one consciousness. And so we're not talking about balancing anything between you, because there is no between you. I hope that resonates. I did another video on this like a few months ago at the beginning of my channel that talks about, is there karma between twins? There is no karma between twins, right? There are no karmic contracts that twin flames have. And I hear this a lot as well. You can have karmic contracts with other people. You can have karma within your own situation, right? That you're dragging around from past lifetimes and things of that nature. Lessons that you need to learn, things that you haven't sort of graduated out of in regard to karmic situations that we've had and all of those sort of things. But as far as having karma between you and your twin is basically saying that you have karma between you and you, as if there is a between you and you. There isn't. There's only you. You are one energetic system, and you share this energetic system with the masculine polarity that is always you. So you don't have karma between you and yourself. Does that make sense? You don't have karma with yourself, right? You can have karmic contracts with soulmates or with karmic, relationships and things like that. You can have karmic contracts with ancestral bloodlines and things like that from the past and all of these sort of things. but there's no between twins. And I know that whole thing just is such a mind bender, and it just doesn't make any sense to the mind. But in truth, we are souls, we are energy having a human experience. We are not humans having a soul experience, right? And so this is your soul here having a human experience. And so this is you as an energetic being having a human experience for your expansion and for your growth as a soul. You are one energy, and that one energy is incarnate twice in order to experience the reflection of itself for its own soul's growth, right? That's what twins are. I know that sounds really odd. So there isn't any needing to like heal anything between you and the twin. There isn't anything like, well, the masculine, I need to wait for the masculine to heal all these things and XYZ, or, you know, because we have these blocks between us. Whatever blocks are coming up, whatever healing needs to be done, you know, whatever balancing work needs to be done, all of that, it's as long as this stuff is being done within the feminine, again, not gender specific, then that is what affects the whole of the energy. This is why when you come back into inner union and you collapse all of these fear-based energies, all of this duality, and you start transmuting all of this heaviness, all of this emotion, and all of these things that are sort of keeping you out of alignment, right? When you start clearing all of this stuff and you come back into your higher vibratory state and you come back into that union with self, this is why the twin generally comes back into your life physically if they're not in your life already, or they show up in your life physically in a very different way, in a higher vibration, in a more sovereign way, in a more away from that's, you know, reflecting your wholeness. And this is because you're one energy. And so that one energy, it has to reflect itself. This is why the masculine, which is, I did a video on this just a couple days ago, the purpose of the divine masculine. This is why the masculine is always going to be reflecting whatever we are or whatever is going on within us, because they're your same exact energetic frequency. And so this is why the masculine reflects all of your light, and they also reflect all of your shadow, because they're you. You are one energetic system. And so when we're talking about balancing out the energies, we're talking about balancing out the energy within the feminine, right? Within the leading polarity in this dynamic. And this is why we hear there's really only one person that needs to do the work. This is why I did a video on, does the divine feminine have to suffer? Because a lot of feminines feel like they're the only one doing the work, and a lot of feminines get really frustrated by this because they feel like they're shouldering the whole load. You know, like they're having to do all the inner work, they're having to do the shadow work, they're having to look within, they're having to balance everything out, they're having to do all of these things, and then they look over and they're like, what's the masculine doing? The masculine doesn't seem to be doing anything. Well, the masculine's role was to activate you to go through that process in the first place. And the masculine's role is also to reflect back to you all of these aspects of you that are coming up for you to do that inner work, and for you to look at the shadow, and for you to learn how to transmute these things and heal them and clear them and all of these sort of things. But this is one energy that's always constantly working with itself. And so hopefully that makes things a little bit clearer, because we have this idea that we're trying to balance out the energy or balance out the duality between you and this other physical person. It's only within you that you are doing this work. And within you, as one energetic system, it is affecting the entire energetic system, which is you and the twin, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So I want to just hit on that a little bit today, because the energetic structure, and this gets, I know that this is like a really broad concept, because it's just sort of, it's beyond what the mind can grasp. until suddenly you are in that energy and you're in embodiment and you just know. But it's also beyond what the ego can grasp. And so, you know, this is what sort of keeps us in this back and forth looping thing. And this is why I mention a lot that we need to collapse that feeling that the twin is separate from us, and that we need to understand that this is just an experience that you as a soul is having, and that's what it is, right? This is just an experience that your soul is experiencing separation. And so in order for the soul to experience it itself, it needs its reflection, right? The soul needs its reflection. It needs to have that mirror shining back to it for the soul to have that expansion and have that growth in this paradigm, in this dynamic that we are experiencing. So the energy is your energy, Divine Feminine. It's your energy that you're balancing out, right? It's you that you are coming back into balance with. It is you that is experiencing duality in the 3D. But duality doesn't actually exist. We come from oneness as source consciousness, as soul. We come from wholeness. We come from creation. We come from all that is. And this is a vibratory frequency of oneness. This is unity consciousness that I'm always talking about. And so as souls, we descend into these lower vibratory dimensions in order to experience separation, because souls don't know what this is. We only know oneness. We don't know what separation is. But when we're experiencing this separation state, we forget that we're just oneness. And so this is how the programs, you know, start to come in, to become entrenched in the subconscious mind, and the patterns and all of these things, because that's the experience that the soul is having for its own expansion and its own growth. But you're always oneness. You're always one with your twin, right? You're always one energetic system. And so this is why it's only the feminine polarity that is actually needing to come back into balance, that it's actually needing to shift out of the dualistic state, because it's just a belief that we have. It's just an experience that we have. It's not actually what we are. And so that's why I say ascension isn't actually getting somewhere. It's not like you're climbing a ladder to get to some new octave. Ascension is actually releasing what you have never been, what you have only been experiencing in the 3D. You know, it's why it's so much of releasing the ego programmings, right? And releasing that fear-based energy, because you're just going to naturally vibrate right back up to who you are, what you are anyway, which is oneness, which is one with the twin. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about collapsing duality and coming back into wholeness, because there is no duality, which means there is no me and them. We use this verbiage because it makes sense to us. You know, this is how we speak in this 3D paradigm, us and them and you and her and me and, you know, whatever. But even that verbiage is speaking from separation, when there actually is no separation. You know, it's all one. It's all oneness. And so the feminine is the one coming back into that embodiment and that awareness that you already are one, that you always have been one. You're coming back into that balance within, which means you're shifting out of all of those separation paradigms. So it's the energetic dance within. This is why I keep saying that this is just about you. It's a you and you game. The feminine is leading this energy always. And this is why it's an as within thing. Because as soon as we come back to, you know, everything that's going on within, and these are all like, you know, whatever that is, right? So if it's dualistic states and fear-based energy that you're holding within you and that you're believing in, then that's what we see in our reality. And that's what we see with the twin. That's what we see with everyone. But if we've collapsed that and we've come back into wholeness and oneness within, then that's also what we see in our reality. And so then the separation that we see between us and the twin, that we have been feeling that, you know, they're separate from us and all these sort of things, that fades out because we've come back into that awareness that we are one energetic system. When you come back into that embodiment, that's when you can have that harmonious, you know, interaction with the twin, because that's when you understand that they are you, they're me. That's when all the unconditional love comes fully back online, and all you ever want is the best for them, regardless of what that is. All you want is the best for them because they're you. So of course you would want the best for them, just as you would want the best for self. So yes, when we're talking about balancing energies, we're not talking about you and them. We're talking about within, the masculine and feminine within, balancing the energy within. And that affects what you're seeing in your physical reality with the masculine. So hopefully that resonates, you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome day.